This is the fresh out of the oven with the baker's dozen. Watch a rapper turn to nothing at the
So you guys palletize freight because like
correct.
Adik was telling me you guys actually palletize that stuff.
Correct. So you'll see a container out there.
So yeah, there's a container right here. So they just come in when the containers come in. They're not palletized.
Right. So when it comes from the ocean, drayage brings it here.
Yeah.
We unload and we do distribution from here.
Okay.
So either we could put it on our truck and handle it with our asset, because we do have assets ourselves.
Yeah.
And we do service the Midwest, the Southeast, and Northeast. And again, if it's customer routed or they need our service, either way we can handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we unload the container. It depends what it is. It could be floor loaded, palletized, whatever they need.
Okay.
And we distribute to their request.
Yeah.
So
got some bathtubs here.
So yeah, a big customer that we just landed. It's a customer, and it's bathtubs.
Okay.
There's crated bathtubs as well.
Yeah.
And it's fulfillment, but it's on like on a bigger order. An order comes in, it comes through our WMS. It's very simple. Order comes in, maybe 40 to 50 a day, and the guys just assemble over there what's needed and distribute. If a common LTL carrier come, and they'll service it. We service from larger partials like volume LTL, 4 pallets to like the 33s, somewhere around those premises. If it's between our wheelhouse, we'll provide a quote. If not, they come with the common LTL carrier.
Cool.
We also do warehousing, distribution, fulfillment, OTR for a full truckload.
Okay.
Yeah, we handle pretty much the whole nine. Supply chain, from supply chain, end-to-end supply chain.
Are those your guys, Anthony, or no?
Yes.
Okay, so they're
This whole warehouse is us.
Oh, okay. And how many docks do you have over here?
How many docks?
How many docks? Yeah.
54 docks.
54 docks.
Yeah, it's a very unique location. You don't find this type of location, especially in Pomona, because a lot has been grandfathered in. It's a high velocity warehouse specifically for cross-docking.
Okay.
Like very, very high volume.
Okay.
So this is like very niche in this area, bro.
Sure.
Yeah.
You got 54 docks. How many square feet?
This is 70,000 square feet.
Okay.
And we could walk around a little bit, almost end to end. As you can see, it's filled up.
So if anyone needs cross-docking or warehousing in Pomona, California, should they hit you up, Anthony?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll drop like the address or the contact number or something like that.
I'll send you my email address, my phone number, whatever you guys need.
Yeah, awesome.
Again, we definitely handle high volume when there's bottleneck at the ports.
Yeah.
Bring it to our warehouse. We'll definitely alleviate that.
Right now it's slowed down though, right?
Yes. Be careful.
Ooh, Derek's about to die.
No insurance. No insurance.
Yeah. We gotta walk slower then.
Sorry.
So it was super hot.
Yeah,
like,
it was super hot. Man, I'm having this honest conversation with you. I don't know if we even want to put this on film.
Okay.
But dude, we had so much freight that it took me months to bill.
Yeah.
I was so backed up at the end of the year. It was nuts. I never experienced something like that. It's a blessing. I count my blessings. I'm very, very grateful. But it was a very challenging moment to service every customer, because everybody needs it on time. Yeah. They don't care what goes on in between. All the logistics, all the craziness that we got to deal with employees, with drivers, they don't care. They just want their product on time.
Definitely.
And we do our best to not give them the headache.
Everyone's doing their best, but everyone was dealing with the same problems as you were dealing with, Andy. So
sure.
It's difficult to service it perfectly at those times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But now it's slowed down.
It did.
Okay.
But again, this is early on in the year.
Yeah.
Production is still picking up. I'm not sure how this is gonna kind of go on in the future.
Yeah.
But we're talking about severe recession. It's
that's what it seems like, right?
We're talking about some really hard times ahead of us. I don't know how much this is gonna affect with freight, which it already has. Yeah. Will it pick up? You gotta understand the SBA loans, the EDDs, the everything. The consumer is not shopping the way they were last year. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The confidence is not there as last year.
Yeah, less people buying.
That's why when these times come around, economy goes down a little bit, people hang on to their money because they don't know what's going to happen in the future. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your predictions? Do you think there's going to be a severe recession right now?
So I think we're definitely heading towards that.
Okay.
There's a lot of signs that's heading towards that. I like to be optimistic. It's mind over matter for me, and it doesn't matter in any weather, in any any situation. So I'm always being optimistic. I keep my faith strong in God and keep it pushing, man.
Yeah. So right now, like, what kind of advice or tips would you give to people that have like large overhead? That if there's a looming recession, what kind of steps should you be taking, as a company right now to kind of secure yourself from any?
I think everyone needs to sit down and weigh out what's a liability and what's an asset.
Okay.
Some people would argue with me, telling me a truck is an asset. I don't think so. I think truck is a liability. I own no trucks.
Yeah.
I own many trailers. I don't
Okay.
own any trucks. I fell face first owning trucks. There's
Yeah.
other people that's becoming successful. For example, KKW. They're doing great now. They have
Right next
about
door.
they have
Yeah.
about 500 trucks.
Okay.
Shout out to Dennis Firestone and Steve, great guys. They're doing great, but prior to that, they weren't. Prior to COVID, if anybody remembers, it was $1 a mile out of California. Absolutely zero way to sustain this type of market. What happened? They were smart enough, they sold their company to the employees.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's an employee-owned company.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that works in the back end, but in this circumstance, this is what they did. They pivoted,
Yeah.
you know? That's their experience and they know their know-hows. That was something very interesting for me to see. A company's doing, they have a big overhead because of the big liabilities of having 400 or 500 trucks.
Yeah.
And now the market is tanked. There's no freight anywhere, outbound or inbound. There's no way to sustain that. Absolutely
Okay.
zero way. But they've pivoted and they made it out the way. And there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Right after post-COVID, freight picked up and it went nuts.
Yeah.
For about a year and a half solid, it went nuts. But now we're starting to take a dip. Now it's going to be the core customers, the manufacturers that's in the States, not going through, if it's China, if it's going to be some sort of, there was a few years ago, it was the trade war, right? It was something like
Yeah,
that.
there was, yeah.
It was like something regarding the Chinese trade.
Yeah, there was some import taxes.
Right, and the prices shot up and
Yeah.
it became again harder. There was so many challenges you got to deal with. My brother from S&A Transportation, shout out Scott, and he always says you must be a chameleon, you must adapt. You have to adapt.
Yeah.
If you don't adapt to these times, pivot, understand what's your liability, weigh it out. Make sure what's your liability and what's your asset. Trim down the fat. Make sure your employee is not draining you. As a CEO, you must be involved. You must be involved in the operations. I'm not saying going day to day, but at least overlook. Make sure you're there, seeing what's going on, what's needed.
Totally.
Instead of sitting in an office or you're somewhere else, not seeing what's going on, and you're looking at your numbers at the end of the month, and something is not right. But if you're on the field and you see what's going on, you could pivot. You could do a lot more things.
Sure.
So. I try to do my best I can.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers, but again, growing up in this industry, I learned a lot. On the back end, I told you my dad was a truck driver.
That was interesting, yeah.
for 20
if you could tell us, because before we were recording, like you were telling me that.
Okay, so
your dad was a truck driver who came from Armenia,
right,
and he came here when you came here when you were 3 years old,
correct.
and then you started driving a truck right from an early age.
Very early age. So my dad was a truck driver for 20 plus years when I was a young boy. I grew up in a truck, literally grew up in a truck.
Yeah.
And my time for when my bonding with my dad was in the truck. My summer trips, my everything was just with my dad.
Yeah.
And I literally grew up in the truck, like verbatim. I really grew up in there.
Yeah.
And going through summer trips and all of that. And there was times when I was like around 8, 9 years old, I would sit on my dad's lap. I would hold the wheel while we put it on cruise control.
Yeah.
And as it progressed, I was like 13, 14. My dad would take a nap while I drove. I swear to God, like it was that.
It's crazy.
That's how I learned. And by the time I hit 18, I got my CDL. I didn't want to, but I had to for my family. Whatever is needed for my family, I'll do it, man. I'll go to the moon and back for my family. It doesn't matter, whatever it takes. So I got my CDL. I started doing team runs with my dad and my brother. Then I ended up driving myself. And dude, I was going to like Texas when I was like 19, 20, not even legally.
Yeah.
So.
Should we cut that out?
I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
I even got caught in New Mexico. They told me to go back. I told them, yes, sir. I had to deliver the freight in Texas. I can't go back. But,
Service over everything.
yeah, I had to do whatever it takes, man.
Definitely.
But then, you know, it was I know how to drive a truck, but I'm not a truck driver. I knew early age that this was not for me, so I started learning the dispatch of things.
Yeah.
Then my brother opened up S&A Transportation in Rancho Cucamonga, and he told me to start
Is
it
S&A
off.
pretty big? It sounds very, very familiar.
A decent size, you know, I
Okay.
believe there are 40, 50 trucks or so.
Cool.
Very, very solid.
It sounds very familiar. I might have worked at S&A
Yeah,
Transportation. I've done a lot
very
of loads,
solid.
so-
You could definitely count on them.
Yeah, they just have their trailer right here. I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two octaves below where my soul exists. Trapped in this lower end, I'm more focused than I've ever been since I first started in. But this is just the beginning.